The Tennessee Titans win over the Arizona Cardinals was a little bit fluky, but Cam Ward's clutch gene is 100% real. I'm going to tell you what else was real from the Titans win on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, on today's show, I'm going to tell you what I think was real from the Tennessee Titans win over the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday. I'm going to talk about why Chimere Dike is going to be a Pro Bowl returner as a rookie. Talk about why Jeffery Simmons is the best defensive player in the NFL right now. And of course, tell you why Cam Ward's clutch gene is 100% legit. Before we dive into all of it, do want to thank you for making the Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day here on the Locked On Titans podcast. Speaking of every day, shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. Couldn't do it without you guys. If you aren't an everydayer, now is the perfect time to be one. The Tennessee Titans just got their first win. I got so much to discuss. There's a lot of season left. Get locked in with the Locked On Titans podcast. But with that being said, again, we have to acknowledge the reality here. That was a little bit of a fluke win against the Arizona Cardinals with the drop in the ball at the goal line, the interception, turn fumble, turn touchdown. A lot of crazy stuff happened in that game to give the Tennessee Titans the win. But I think there are a lot of things that did happen in that game that are 100% real and that Titans fans should expect to continue throughout the rest of the season and throughout the next few years and throughout some of these guys' careers going forward. And that starts, obviously, with Cam Ward. And if you don't realize that Cam Ward is clutch, if you don't realize that he has the clutch gene in his DNA, if you don't realize by now that Cam Ward has ice in his veins, I don't know what else you need to see. Go back to his college tape. Go back to his college career. To come from Incarnate Word, to go to Washington State, to then go to Miami, a big-time program, and throughout the process, be able to step up, lead his team, and get the best out of everybody around him and himself. That is what clutch is, being in the most difficult situations and being able to come out and do your best. That is what clutch is. And, I mean, how many games did we have to see at Miami last year where he brought his team back, where he got his team to the end and he was able to make the big-time plays to win the game? I'll always remember that Cal game where they go down huge. He made a ton of bad mistakes throughout that game. The interception that he threw across his body was absolutely egregious. But it didn't matter. And that's what makes Cam Ward so special, is that under the pressure, with all the scrutiny on him, all the odds stacked against him, Cam Ward will still find a way to get the job done. Because he's calm, he's cool, he's poised, he's collected at all times. Never too high, never too low. He's a metronome at all times, staying even-keeled, ready to make the plays. And that's what we saw. I mean, again, a terrible first three quarters from Cam Ward. And I encourage all of you who watch the show, go check out the Tic Tac Titans film channel on YouTube. I put out my 20-minute breakdown on Cam Ward's performance, and I showed the first three quarters of just garbage. Let's just call it what it is. Now, some of that's drops, but some of that is missed reads. Some of that is inaccurate passes. Some of that is hold the ball. It was not a good first 50 minutes for Cam Ward. But again, he is not someone who is going to wilt under that pressure. Cam Ward isn't someone who's going to, oh man, I played so bad, I can't. He just keeps on going. Just keeps on going. It doesn't matter. Again, in the fourth quarter, 13 for 18, 193 yards. On the 2-minute drive at the end to set up the game-winning field goal, 5 of 6 for 67 yards, including the 38-yarder to Calvin Ridley. Cam Ward's 193 fourth quarter passing yards are the fourth most by a rookie since 1978, according to the Tennessee Titans PR team. That's the second most in a road game and the most in a win. No quarterback since 1978 has had that good of a fourth quarter and come back to win. And since 2000, according to the Titans PR team, Cam Ward joins Vince Young back in 2006 as the only NFL rookie quarterbacks to win a game in which they trailed by 15 or more points in the fourth quarter. And as a matter of fact, I think that Vince Young one, it was either the Houston or the Cardinals game where he threw the pass to Kenny Britt. Yes, it was ugly early, but being clutch and making plays at the end, no matter what happens, is who Cam Ward is. And the reality is, no NFL quarterback is perfect. There's no quarterback out there, the best quarterbacks of all time, that didn't throw multiple interceptions and have bad games and not win. It's not about getting knocked down. It's about getting back up, all right? It's about how many hits you can take and continue to fight back. That is what it's about. That's why the saying goes, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Because who you are after you get punched in the mouth, that's who you really are. And that's not just football, folks. That is your life. Because life isn't perfect. Life's never going to go perfect. What do you do when you get hit? Can you keep getting hit and keep moving forward? That's what life is. And Cam Ward, whether the win was a fluke or not, Cam Ward's clutch gene is real. It is absolutely real. And I don't know what else that we have to see to understand that. Now, there are some other things on the offensive side of the ball that I think are absolutely real for this team. And the number one thing is Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley got off to a slow start last year. He got off to a slow start this year, but in the biggest moments, and again, we think about the 38-yarder down the right-hand sideline that Cam Ward completed on the 2-minute drive, but what about earlier in the fourth quarter when it's 3rd and 10 and Calvin Ridley runs a deep post route down the seam and Cam throws a laser to him, but it's not right here above the shoulders and it's kind of in the midsection area. Calvin Ridley, full speed, plucks the ball out of the air. Literally plucks it with both hands. Perfect hands catch. Not an easy, ideal ball location, but a perfect catch by Calvin Ridley. And then Calvin Ridley makes the play at the end on the 2-minute drill. This is the Calvin Ridley that we've been waiting for all year. And I think Calvin Ridley is a guy, in my opinion, who can be mentally affected. He gets down on himself. He gets in his own head, all of that. But all he needs is a little spark. All he needs is a little bit of confidence back. It's like going out and playing golf. You're hitting a bunch of bad shots. Today's not my day. You hit that one good drive, and all of a sudden you feel it. Now you're ready to go. Now you're playing your best. Calvin just needed something to click. And that's exactly what happened in this game. And I don't think that Calvin Ridley, and I've been saying this Calvin Ridley isn't a top 10 elite wide receiver, not Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. He's not on that level. But he's a tier 2, high tier 3 wide receiver in this league, and he has been far from that through the first 4 weeks. But seeing Calvin Ridley come out and have the performance that he had, 100% absolutely needed it. And listen, again, there's a lot more from this game that I think is real, including Jeffery Simmons and the Tennessee Titans offensive line, who I thought both had phenomenal games against the Cardinals. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day, we make decisions. But on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections, like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley rushing for a touchdown, and you're in the game. Look, you guys tell me all the time how I'm wrong about everything, you're right about everything. Well, if you're right all the time, you guys are going to do great on Prize Picks, because all you got to do, again, is pick more or less on 2 to 6 players, and you're going to win when you get it right. And they have a new feature called the Injury Reboot feature. If your player leaves early and doesn't return, it won't count against you. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. It's Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast, going over what I think was real from the Tennessee Titans win over the Arizona Cardinals. I like to keep things open because I don't know what news is going to happen, how things are going to go. But tomorrow I'll probably take a look at what's not as real, because we do have to, at some point, kind of come back down to reality. But we're having fun today. The Titans won. Let's talk about all the things that are exciting again. Cam Ward is clutch. Calvin Ridley is ready to get back on track. I firmly believe that. But we also got to talk about this offensive line, because another thing that I think is real from the Tennessee Titans' victory over the Cardinals is the performance of the Tennessee Titans' offensive line. Now, here's a reality that we have to acknowledge. The Cardinals don't have the best pass rush in the NFL. Josh Sweat, pretty good player. Calais Campbell, older, but a pretty good player. I think Baron Browning is a pretty good player as well. I wanted Baron Browning in free agency. I don't know if it was last offseason or the offseason before, but the Cardinals' pass rush isn't elite by any means. But this Tennessee Titans offensive line, especially throughout the last few years, has struggled even against non-elite pass rushes. So if the Titans' offensive line has a great game, there is no way that I'm going to accept people being like, oh, well, the Cardinals. No, get out of here with that. The Titans' offensive line was awesome in this game. Point blank, period, full stop, no qualifiers. They were awesome. And they had the lowest pressure rate that they've given up all season, according to Next Gen Stats. 23% pressure rate. The Titans had a cumulative 44% pressure rate through the first month of the season. Dropped down to 23%. Cam Ward dropped back 42 times, and Next Gen Stats say he was only pressured on 10. Now, if you look at Pro Football Focus, they only have 5 pressures registered against Cam Ward. 5. Peter Skoronski and Kevin Zeitler, shutouts. 0 pressures, 0 sacks. I mean, even Ali Udoh only allowed about 3 pressures. Cushenberry had 1 pressure, 0 sacks, was the highest graded offensive lineman on the day. Both Zeitler and Peter Skoronski had an 89.1 pass blocking grade per Pro Football Focus. Literally close to perfection. This offensive line has gotten better and better. And something that I said over the last couple of weeks, and there were comments in there like, you're dumb, dude. This offensive line is trash. Blah, 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 blah. I see it. All right. But something I've been saying for weeks, I've said it on the Squad Show. I've said it in the tape breakdowns on the Tic Tac Titans channel. Again, go over there for my Cam Ward film breakdown. I'm going to have a ton of content this week over there, breaking down the film. We have the conversations about everything here. Get smarter and watch the film. But I said it. This offensive line is playing better than people realize. This offensive line is playing better than what the casual fan wants to believe. A lot of these sacks, the 17 sacks that the Titans gave up in the first 4 weeks, a lot of those sacks weren't on offensive linemen. They were running backs. They were tight ends. They were coverage sacks where no one's getting open. They were Cam Ward holding the ball too long, fishing for a bigger play, not taking the check down. Out of those 17 sacks, probably 5 or 6 of them were on Cam Ward, if we're being honest. And at least 3 or 4 were on tight ends and running backs. Like, I'm not saying that the offensive line has played great through the first 4 weeks of the season, but it wasn't as bad as it seemed. And now we're seeing things start to gel. As Cam Ward gets more comfortable, starts to get the ball out of his hands quicker like he did in the second half against the Cardinals. As the offensive line starts to settle and understand each other. As the Titans get healthier on the offensive line. That matters. Zeitler back in. Zeitler was incredible. Incredible in the game. Watching the tape on Monday morning, I even tweeted before the grades were out, Zeitler's got to be the highest graded Titans offensive lineman. Like, he's just absolutely incredible. Moving bodies in the run game, too. It ended up being Lloyd Cushenberry by a smidgen, but Zeitler was number 3 right behind him. I mean, it was impressive stuff. It really was. And this offensive line, and let's add more context, because they played the Broncos, the Rams, the Texans. Those are 3 of the top 5 defensive lines in the entire NFL. Up there with, like, the Eagles. Like, those are great D lines. So the Titans struggled with those. But outside of Max Crosby, the Raiders don't have some incredible defensive line. The Patriots have some good players like Harold Landry, Milton Williams, but, you know, the Titans have a chance here to continue this success, and I think it is real, and I think you get JC Latham back in the lineup, and the Titans' offensive line is going to be even better. There isn't going to be an obvious weak spot, and you're going to take your worst offensive lineman on a week-to-week basis, and Ali Udoh, who still had a good game on Sunday. I'm not hating on Ali Udoh, but he is a backup. You're going to replace your worst offensive lineman with potentially your best, or at minimum, your second best offensive lineman behind Peter Skoronski and Latham. So, very excited about what can happen there with the O-line. But staying in the trenches, Jeffery Simmons. I mean, I've said it for weeks and weeks now. It's continued to be true. There has been no slowdown. Jeffery Simmons is the best interior defensive lineman in the entire NFL. It's not hyperbole. It's not because I'm a Titans fan. None of that's real. It is real. Look at this. Going into Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. I haven't gone back to look after Sunday Night Football. But I doubt anybody, after watching that game, I don't think anybody is making this wrong. Jeffery Simmons had the second most pressures of any player in the NFL on Sunday, including Thursday Night Football. He had 8 pressures by himself. I mean, in the first game of the year, he had like 10. In the game last week, he had like 7. This dude is freaking out. Look at the list. Aiden Hutchinson had 12 for Detroit against Cincinnati. Oh my God, 12? Jesus. But then Simmons was number 2 with 8. Nick Bonito from Denver had 6. Jonathan Grenard from Minnesota had 6. Dante Fowler from Dallas had 6. Al-Qaeda Muhammad from Detroit had 6. Man, they really put it on the Bengals, the offensive line, didn't they? Devin Ezeraku, the rookie from Dallas, had 6. All of those players that I just mentioned, what do they have that's different than Simmons? They're edges. They're all edges. They're not interior defensive linemen where it's harder to get pressures. Jeffery Simmons is going nuts. And my guy Will Lomas from Titan Sized put out a great tweet on Monday morning. No defensive tackle has more sacks than Jeffery Simmons, 3.5. No defensive tackle has more tackles for loss than Jeffery Simmons, 6. No defensive tackle has more solo tackles than Jeffery Simmons, 16. No defensive tackle has more pressures than Jeffery Simmons. He has been an absolute all-pro defensive player of the year player so far. And folks, I am here to tell you that's as real as can be. That is Jeff Simmons. What an animal he has been so far this year. But there's a lot more from this game I think is real on defense and on special teams. And we got some stuff to be excited about going forward. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick awards than anyone else as of August 2025. Whether it be footwork, breathwork, we know that our favorite athletes sweat all the details, and Mazda brings the same attention to how they craft every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but. From smooth handling to intuitive controls, with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. I personally have a Mazda at home, my Mazda CX-5. Absolutely love it. I know you guys will love a Mazda too. Like our favorite players, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. It's Mazda. Move and be moved. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast, going over what I think is real from the Tennessee Titans' somewhat fluky win against the Arizona Cardinals. We talked about Cam Ward's clutch gene. We talked about Calvin Ridley being ready to roll. We talked about Jeffery Simmons and the offensive line being awesome in that game and how I think that's going to continue. But now we got to talk about some other players that I think played absolutely fantastic and can continue to play fantastic going forward. Before I continue, though, do want to thank you again for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. There's a reason this has been the #1 Tennessee Titans podcast for multiple seasons now. All right? Get locked in with Locked On Titans. It's your team every day. But staying on defense, once again, Cedric Gray. Cedric Gray, man, he's running around everywhere. He's making a bunch of tackles. Brian Callahan talked about Cedric Gray in his press conference on Monday, said he's been so impressive. Not only is he playing almost all the snaps on defense, he's playing a ton of special team snaps and making plays there, making blocks, making tackles. He has been incredible. And after last week's breakout performance that I broke down on tape, if you missed that, go to the Tic Tac Titans film channel. My Cedric Gray breakdown from last week is out. 17 total tackles, 11 solo, made big-time plays. And in this game, I think the Titans would be lost without Cedric Gray. The reality is Cody Barton has not played well. And again, my guy Will Lomas has been saying funny stuff. He said Cody Barton runs like he has glass in his shoes. And I understand what he's saying, and I agree. Cody Barton has been slow. And he's not getting downhill. He's not being aggressive to attack the ball. Really looks slow out there, if I'm honest with you. But you know who doesn't look slow? Cedric Gray. My boy! Cedric, my boy! He's been great. He's been great. And the violence that he plays with and the ferocity that he plays with, is it ferociousness? I don't know. Whatever. We don't have time for it. You guys know what I'm saying. But just the intensity that he's playing with and the urgency, that the way he's getting downhill, the way he's attacking ball carriers, the way he's attacking blocks and taking them on, whether it's a tight end or a pulling offensive lineman. Like, he is just playing with such violence right now. Again, I think the Titans would be screwed without him. And there's a specific example, which I put a clip up of out on Twitter, at Tic Tac Titans, if you can follow me there. I do just little clips, stuff that I'm not going to do film breakdowns on during the week, but that I want to put out there because they're fun, like Kevin Winston on special teams, absolutely headhunting people. It was awesome. But there was a clip, I was talking to Lomas again about, Cody Barton, and I was like, there was a play on Sunday that I remember seeing where Cody Barton was chasing a ball carrier, and he was not going to catch him. And all of a sudden, it's like, watching an old vehicle and then watching a Ferrari go by. It's like Cody Barton is slowly trugging along trying to get to the ball carrier, and he's not getting there. And Cedric Gray comes from way behind him with elite speed and runs down the ball carrier and makes the tackle. And it was late in the game, and if the ball carrier would have got loose and got free and got a first down, Titans probably don't win. But Cedric Gray came flying past Cody Barton and made the tackle. And it's just like, if the Titans didn't have that youth and athleticism and that speed at the linebacker position, they would be in trouble because Cody Barton is not playing well, and he does look like he has glass in his cleats. And he just doesn't want to put his foot down on the pedal. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that gets better anytime soon. That probably doesn't get better. But Cedric Gray playing as well as he is, I think that's real, and I think that's going to continue. And I know that he gave up the big, huge play to Nico Collins last week, but L'Jarius Sneed has been playing much better football, and he was awesome in this game. Second highest graded defender per Pro Football Focus behind Jeffery Simmons was L'Jarius Sneed. Sneed locked it down. And not only did he play great coverage, he only gave up one catch that I remember seeing. It was to Marvin Harrison Jr. on a curl route, and Marvin Harrison Jr. pushed off like a mug. It should have been offensive pass interference, and the entire Titans sideline is screaming for it. L'Jarius Sneed screaming. It was a clear push-off on a sit-down route at about 15 yards. Other than that catch, they didn't even go after L'Jarius Sneed. They wanted no problems, big fella. They wanted nothing to do with Sneed. They're going to go after Jalen Omar Davis all day. We don't even want to mess with L'Jarius Sneed. He locked down his side more often than not. And Marvin Harrison Jr. was going crazy at the beginning of the game. He had like 100 yards in the first quarter. What happened after? Where'd Marvin Harrison go? He, poof, disappeared. Brian Callahan even said it in his press conference on Monday. We started putting L'Jarius over there a little bit. And then you add in Sneed putting pressure on DeMarcado, not forcing the fumble, but I think that pressure might have had something to do with it. And I keep saying on Twitter, like, why don't we all just Mandela affect this thing and act like L'Jarius Sneed physically forced the fumble with the punch? Why not? For the vibes, man. For the vibes. Why not? You know what I mean? Sneed forced the fumble. Let's do it, you know? But I also want to say there were a couple of run stops that happened late in the game where the Titans defense got a stop to get the ball back to the Titans offense that helped them win the game, where L'Jarius Sneed is coming up and hitting people and making tackles and being physical. This is not a guy who got his money and quit. I was hard on Sneed at the beginning of the season. I was hard on Sneed the entire offseason. But I can't do anything but give that guy credit for the way that he's played. And yes, giving up the 2nd and 59 to Nico Collins was a disaster, and it can't happen. But outside of that play, Sneed hasn't been too hateful, and he was good in this game. Not only not hateful, he was good. And I think a guy who missed a lot of time, rehabbing from multiple injuries, new team, I think that it is real. I think that L'Jarius Sneed is going to continue to play well. And I want to see it continue. The Raiders don't have an elite wide receiver that I'm worried about. Jacoby Myers is a good player, but it's Jacoby Myers. You know, what are we talking about? It's not Nico Collins, okay? It's not Courtland Sutton or anything like that, or Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams. So I think Sneed's going to keep it up. I think it is real. And then the last thing that I want to mention here is on special teams. Tweet by Wes Wisley, but pointed out that Chimere Dike currently leads the entire NFL in all-purpose yards with 783. That's 114 more than the next closest player. Chimere Dike, and that's with a huge punt return touchdown off the board from a stupid penalty in week 2. Chimere Dike looks like he is going to be the Pro Bowl returner in the AFC so far. And that's real. I mean, it's been 5 weeks, and every single week, Chimere Dike makes a huge play on special teams. 66-yard return in this one. Every single week, he makes a big play. That's as real as it gets, folks. We got a real returner, a game breaker. Someone who not only will catch the ball and not mess up, but someone who can literally change games. Huge development. So that's all the stuff that I'm excited about that I think is real for the Titans. Cam being clutch. Calvin Ridley being ready to go. The O-line locking in. Jeffery Simmons being the best interior defensive lineman in the NFL. Cedric Gray and L'Jarius Sneed playing high-level football. And Chimere Dike being a Pro Bowl returner. I think that's all real, even if the Titans win over the Arizona Cardinals was a little fluky. Now, again, on tomorrow's show, might be talking about what I think is not so real. And might be time to, let's come back down to earth after this great feeling that we have from this win. Unless there's bigger news that we need to go over. You guys know I'm always going to do what's best for y'all. But with that being said, since I am always doing what's best for y'all, do me a favor. Go over to the Tic Tac Titans YouTube channel. Watch the Cam Ward film breakdown. Throw a Titan up in the comments. Throw a like on the video. Obviously, all you guys are super, super loyal over here. My everydayers, really appreciate you guys. But you guys got to start getting down with the tape as well over at Tic Tac Titans. So check that out for me if you don't mind. But that's going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.